What's going on today, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. This video is actually going to drop probably around Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for all you who are watching and have subscribed. I appreciate it. And I hope that you guys are able to spend some time with family, friends, and loved ones on Thanksgiving, if not the day after or the day before if you're working on Thanksgiving. I also thank you for everyone who has commented and supported the channel, so appreciate that. But today I wanted to talk about how sacrifice leads to emergencies turning into inconveniences. So what do I mean by that? Years ago, I heard when you're living above your means and you don't have an emergency fund, it's like asking Murphy from Murphy's Law to come live in your house along with his three brothers, broke, desperate, and stupid. And I have mentioned that wake-up moment for me on this channel before, of where, I spent most of my emergency savings on a car, and then I had some emergency pop up where I didn't have thousands of dollars to spend on an emergency dental procedure for my son. So that was my wake-up call to start living below my means, start sacrificing and saving money away to where I didn't have to worry about things that put me out of work. And so what happened recently? Well, about 2 weeks ago at this point, I was about ready to go into work. I was supposed to work a six-day week that week. And I had a hell of a lot of stomach pain to where I couldn't even stand up. I was having to try and lay down and kind of curl myself in a ball, basically because I had a stabbing pain in my stomach. After some time and some convincing from my wife, I ended up having to go to the ER because, pain for me was about 7 or 8 out of 10. And I wasn't going to sleep anyway. So you know what? As much as I hate going to the doctor, as much as I hate going to the ER, plus I had already spent my max out of pocket for all of my medical costs this year, so it was going to be paid for anyways, but I still hate going to the doctor, and I think that's just a guy thing. But anyways, I went to the ER, and it turned out that I had appendicitis, or the appendix that hangs off your big intestine. It was infected, and it was inflamed, and it was causing a hell of a lot of pain for me. And so the only solve to that for the vast majority of cases is surgery and removing your appendix. So I ended up having to stay the night because I went to the ER about 8 o'clock one night. I think it was a Monday night. Yeah, it was a Monday night, and then had to stay over into Tuesday morning. Barely got any sleep, even though they gave me some hardcore drugs. And then the next morning at about 6 a.m. I got surgery to remove my appendix. Shortly before I got my surgery, they told me that if I got the surgery that I would be out of work for 2 weeks because they have to go in and mess around with my abs to be able to remove my appendix and have 3 decent sized incisions on my abs now, and I couldn't lift anything over 10 pounds for 2 weeks. Obviously, I didn't really have a choice at that point because that's what the doctor was recommending, and it was the easiest way for me to get out of the pain. So this entire scenario just kind of happened out of the blue. I don't have any control over when my appendix decides to, implode on itself, or when I have to spend a night at the hospital and have surgery the next morning. And I certainly don't control the fact that, I was then out of work for 2 weeks. None of that was in my control. I'm otherwise a healthy 30-year-old guy. I work out regularly. I keep my diet in check, and my blood work is pretty clean, as it should be for somebody my age. And so it's another great example of life throwing another wrench in your plans, except this time I was prepared for it. And how was I prepared for it? Well, pretty much, ever since I had gone through that last financial reckoning 3 years ago, I had been saving away and always keeping an emergency fund of at least 15,000 in my bank account. That way, if I was out of work, and that 15,000 covers about 3 to 4 months of expenses for me. So if, you know, like now, I was out of work for a certain amount of time and I had no money coming in, I wasn't going to be, you know, out of being able to pay my bills and being able to cover the basic expenses that I need to cover every single week. It's been the first major emergency that I've had where I've not had to fret about it. It's just been an inconvenience because I did that sacrificing and I saved my money to where I'm not worrying about it, you know. Now, does it suck? You know, yeah, sure. Obviously, you know, I'd like to go back to work, but at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you're dealt a crap hand of cards and you have to be able to manage that. And that's all determined by if you're living below your means and if you're sacrificing properly to where you can withstand these wrenches that are often thrown your way in what you deem as your plan. Life goes on, but I just wanted to express what a difference it is to have something major like this happen and not have just this major amount of cortisol or stress just be flooded into your system because you have sacrificed, you have lived below your means, you have saved away, to where when these types of things happen, then you're like, that's annoying, instead of the world is ending and I don't know how to pay my bills. Because I've certainly been there before many times, and God willing, I'll never go back. With all that being said, please do the required sacrifice to have an emergency fund, you know, get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up to where, you know, you can handle life's curveballs. Because I can promise you the amount of stress that it takes to sacrifice and save up that emergency fund is nothing like the amount of stress that you're going to have when you have one of those curveballs come your way and you can't deal with it and you have to figure something out on the fly or go further into debt. That's the end of today's video. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. And once again, thank you guys for watching, and for all my subscribers, thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your comments, positive or negative, you know. And I hope you guys are doing well as we head into this holiday season. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care. God bless.